And that's what you're doing. You just don't get it. The only recourse you have is the ability to say no. That's the only ability you've got. And it's the only one you actually need. Okay, how many people control us? You got any idea how many people actually control us? Yeah, go on, kid. Yeah, well, trust you to come out and say like that. Well, that's even better, actually, because the odds, 70 million to 12. Brian's talked about this many, many times. The odds are phenomenal. Why are you allowing this to happen? Oh, but if I don't pay my council tax, they're going to come and take my possessions that I value so much. Or the commodity I actually used to get the possessions in the first place. But what if all of you did it? Have they got enough bailiffs? They wouldn't know what to do. Where do we go next? Have they got enough police? No. They haven't got enough of anything. So when the bailiff gets in trouble and he calls the police for the backup, who's coming? No one. Mr. Bailiff's on his own. Do you get what I'm getting at? This is so simple. If you've got a problem, look for the simplest answer. That's all you've got to do. Every bit of power in this country is granted by you, and you can stop this whenever you want it to stop.
You can't give it to the individual.
Yes, you can. I am proof of it. I am proof that it can be done. Nothing.
It's no contract in work.
It's quite simple because we realise that they're sending us something that is coming under policy, which is a contract. So we realise it's a contract, they're offering us something. So we just send back the offer saying, well, no, thank you. We don't want it. You've got to do a lot of research to come to the understanding of that. You've got to really dig deep. But it's what you see, right? It works in stages. What happens is, when you suddenly realise there's something wrong with the world, it's like springing out of a box. You go, there's a bit different out here. And you jump, but the trouble is you generally land up in another box, which is another core belief system. So you're in there for a little while when you're talking to people, and you think, oh, it's different again. And you land in another box. And that's the process you're going through because you just asked that question. What you'll find now is you're actually going the wrong way. And if you go that way and go, oh, it's simple. This is the boxes of the complicated crap that we live in. The only reason you subscribe to the complicated world as it is because you don't know anything different. And the one thing we fear more than anything is the unknown. Because what happens when we're in the unknown? You have no control. And that's what we fear, the loss of control. If you took this government to court for treason, who would replace it? And what would you become? Exactly. You become them. Because a whole different system is needed. Anybody seen V for Vendetta? Do you like the end? I don't know, I've got no contacts with Dynamite. Semtex? Ooh. No, we don't need to do anything like that. The concept, metaphorically, is explaining something to you. We don't need that building. Not anymore. We've gone too far. None of that's needed, especially when they put through things like this. When you read this document for yourself, and I will explain it to you now. I'm going to explain a little bit about it. I rang up Parliament the other day. I love having a chat with them. When I first used to ring up Parliament, I couldn't speak their language. I think you have to speak their language. Don't have to put on the voice. The women actually in the audience are better at this because you have a telephone voice. And that's the voice you need when speaking to these people. But what you need is their language. You have to speak in their language. Okay? I can speak their language now, so I get a lot more answers. And I rang up Parliament the other day, and I happened to get hold of a very, very nice man, who I actually asked if I could meet him outside Parliament sometime to have a proper chat, which he declined. I don't know why, but he declined. But he told me something that's very interesting. He said to me, I asked him a simple question. It was a trick question, actually. It was a loaded question. I asked him, do we live in what is called a representative democracy, or do we live in a democracy? Obviously, I'm playing the game. And he said, well, that's a very complicated question. I said, well, it's not actually. It's either one or the other. And he said, well, democracy. I went, all right, thank you very much. Glad we cleared that one. I said, I've been looking into the 1911 Parliament Acts, was researching my book, and I found something in there that says that we don't have a democracy whatsoever. And he said, oh, what about it? He said, what's this then? I said, well, according to what I can see, that the 1911 Parliament Act set up the one-party majority within the House of Commons as a dictatorship, removing royal assent and removing the power of the Lords, which were the three sections needed for any act, legislation, supposed law coming into this country. I said, but according to this document that I have in my hand, this has happened, and we are now being railroaded. The people of this island are being railroaded because of this document. He said, well, I absolutely agree with you. What? You're agreeing with me that there's a dictatorship within the House of Commons? Oh yeah, I'm agreeing with you. Oh, okay. I said, well, what about representation, playing the game? He said, oh no, there's no representation for the people. They're only there to represent the wishes of the elite. Now, I found this very fascinating. And this is true. This is one that I will not lie to you. This is honest truth. This man said this to me. And that's what I said, I'd love to meet you outside Parliament. He said, well, that wouldn't, we can't do that. So, all right, fascinating. So I rang up Parliament again, and I spoke to a very nice young lady, because I wanted to find out about something called the Select Committee, or Committee of Selection it's called. Turns out when a bill's going through Parliament, the Speaker of Parliament will call 10 MPs as a Select Committee to look at amendments. They actually can create 10 of these. So I said to her quite simply, how is that reflected? She said, but it's reflected on the majority in the House at the time. What? So you're telling me that every Select Committee is biased towards the one-party majority within the House at the time? She said, yes. So hold on a minute. So you're telling me every Select Committee is actually biased to Labour? So they'll always go with what Labour says? She says, well, yeah, pretty much. And you call that democracy? Oh, well, she said, oh, I can't really discuss this any further, which you get a lot when you're talking about these subjects. Especially when you start hitting the nail on the head. So, I'm like, hold on, I'm standpoint on this. I'm making cycles, and head was, I come into heaven. You never believe what I've just had this conversation with Parliament. So anyway, I look a little bit deeper into the Parliament Act, and this is the Act here. Remember, this is part of our so-called constitutional protection. This document is one of the Acts. It's quite interesting because it says here, on the left-hand side, it says, powers of the House of Lords as money bills. Now, I don't know if you know the history of this document. And this was at a time when there was a Prime Minister called Henry Herbert Asquith. And Henry Herbert Asquith was part of the Liberal Party. His right-hand man, he had two, David Lloyd George and Winston Churchill. They were trying to put